Ryan Casal, or Casal, 29. I suffer from a specific kind of depression that involves around self-imaging and seeing where I fit in to social situations, as well as extreme ADHD.
Would you mind explaining what depression is and what ADHD is?
Oh yeah, depression is a mental illness that is differentiated by everybody's personal experience with it. I can only explain mine. So mine comes from losing a parent at such a small age and growing up with the belief that I'm instantly hated by people that I meet. I know it's not true, but it's just something that's always in the back of my head. So it's basically just those urges that we can't control. And I was saying they're different for everybody, and they're more severe for certain people. Certain people, they deal with it for much longer times. I have episodes, so it's just my brain telling me that I'm not good enough when I know that's not true. Just can't control it. And then with ADHD, it's more like certain bursts of energy when I'm feeling uncomfortable in a situation that is uncontrollable. So for example, it's like I'm not good at dealing with conflict. So as soon as I get into that, my brain shuts that part of my body off and goes into, well, hey, you don't like this. Think about this whole other situation that you want to do right now. For example, getting into a fight with a friend. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to go paint a D&D figure, or I'm going to go play this video game. But going through those thoughts at like 1,000 miles per hour. I was diagnosed with ADHD very young, and then was diagnosed with severe depression in high school. I then went through a lot of different kind of therapy. I went through a lot of different kind of social experimentation to be able to figure out how I can figure out my direction in life, or the group that I fit into. I think I've sort of figured that out by now, but it took me a very long time, especially with dealing with the loss of a parent at such a young age.
How did you become aware of your conditions?
Both both doctors telling me, and just having in general social awkwardness as a kid. I did have a group of friends that I hung out with a lot, but if it wasn't in video games or something more on the nerdy side, I had no way of relating to people as a kid, because I wasn't into sports, I wasn't into reading, I wasn't really into going out besides doing stuff with scouts or with Boy Scouts, and doing stuff with my gaming pals. So I didn't really know what to do when I got into situations like that.
When someone goes through therapy, right, you go through from your childhood, trying to sort things out, where things came from. Are you aware where it came from? How did it start?
Sort of, I think that's a question that involves a lot of angles. So it's both involves with being in really small schools, growing up a lot, so being in only being surrounded by a certain number of people, to growing up in around people that have similar disabilities as I do. So dyslexia and ADHD, I went to school specifically for those kind of kids. So as soon as I got to high school, that was my first time going to a public school. And it went from classes of about 10 kids to classes of about 30 kids. I graduated with a class of, I said 8 to 10 kids in middle school, and then graduated with a class of 800 teens in high school. So going from very strict environment to a place where there's people constantly surrounding you was very confusing and very much a world that I just didn't know um, until I got used to it, like years later.
When did you realize that you had these mental health conditions?
I think it was probably between sophomore and junior year of high school. There was situations where, for example, in like we would have homeroom in high school where it was just kind of like a hangout period, um, and I didn't really get along with a lot of people that I didn't already know, or I found it really hard to like get to know them, specifically because I was still trying to like get to know myself. I had two siblings, one that I was constantly fighting with, just trying to figure out my place in the world. I know that's not something that like anybody really finds out until way after that period of their life, but just being put in a situation where I wasn't used to the people around me, I wasn't used to the amount of people around me, and having such like differences in the culture and in the society of people turning into adults. I was so used to being in such concentrated environments that was just how I thought the world was. Growing up, I had like really bad dyslexia and ADHD. My parents had put me into like, the regular school system, but that just didn't work for me because I wasn't able to concentrate on the classes because I was just filling with everything around me. I had a really big issue like learning how to read and stuff as a really little kid. They got me diagnosed and they had me go through test after test after test after test to figure out what I had. And once they did, I was put into different schools in the Bay Area that more focus on those kind of learning disabilities and those kind of kids to more specialize what they need rather than what the general population of public schools offer. Even though I had more of a creative side to me, I wasn't reading at my reading level until about high school. As soon as I got there, because I had that background of just being in very like small environments, I kind of freaked out a little bit, didn't know what to do, consistently like calling out of school, and didn't really make many friends until sophomore year when I met my best friend. And then all the social awkwardness of trying to figure out that the normal teenager stuff.
How has your life changed since dealing with mental challenges?
I've definitely become a lot more clear of what I need to focus on myself, especially over these past couple of years, and really moving away from past history.
What methods do you use to help your conditions?
I use the 10-minute break method, so like anytime I'm feeling like overwhelmed, which can happen a lot, and anytime I feel like where I just need to step away from a situation, I'll leave my phone, I'll leave anything that can communicate with the person that I'm having an issue with or the situation I'm having an issue with. Breathe, think good things, or try to go do like a small 10-minute hobby that will take me away from that situation. For example, just go on like a small walk down the block, or go to talk to like a roommate or a friend that happens to be nearby. Just kind of forget about what happened and breathe. And then other things are just for a little bit longer exercises is just finding a pencil and a piece of paper and just drawing and losing myself in that.
What are some of the misconceptions that people have about severe depression, ADHD?
I've interacted with a couple of people that think depression is just people lying to themselves, basically trying to gain attention by seeming sad all the time. But like I try to tell people that it's really not that. It's just a uncontrollable like feeling of being down on yourself, or sadness, or kind of like uncontrollable mood swings that are just natural for people to have. Not everybody goes through it, but everybody has something that they deal with. And then as far as ADHD goes, it's sort of in the similar realm, but it's basically like knowing everything that's going on around you while also wanting to focus on every single thing. I had somebody tell me that that's just you not wanting to listen, or that's just you not wanting to deal with the stuff going on in your life. And in reality, while that might be true, it doesn't have anything to do with ADHD. It's just something where when somebody gets to a point of their like concentration that they can no longer focus on that thing. It's a way for your brain to say, oh, you don't like this. Here's this thing, or this thing, or this thing. Like the literal definition of, oh, look, a squirrel.
How would you like to be helped by a loved one or someone when you're experiencing mental health challenges?
I would love to be helped by people just reaching out every now and then. I'm not great at asking for help. I just don't want to put that on somebody's shoulders when they didn't ask for it. So just randomly hearing from somebody or somebody asking, are you okay? Or do you need help with anything is the best help I can ask for personally.
What you said earlier, when you feel like people don't like you,
Mm-hmm.
I feel the same way. But it's not true, right? It's so crazy how your brain is telling you that that is the case, but it's not. Yeah. But do you know why you think that way? Like where you came from?
Yeah, so the whole situation that I talked about earlier with self-image issues is like trying really hard to figure out my place in the world has kind of stuck in my head for a super long time. Even though I found a family through my haunted house experience, I still have my best friend, I still have all those people in my life. Basically, getting into something where I can't find a place for myself, it's really hard to explain much further than that. Or finding a new group of people where I don't have a natural like line to fit into, where I have to like kind of prove myself or prove that I have a place. I really struggle with that. I still struggle with it even if I do find my place in there, to constantly keep up that image of myself.
Keeping up with the image of yourself.
Yeah.
That's an interesting statement. Okay. I'm just thinking. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.